Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another video with Swaggle Haas. And in this video, we got ourselves the hottest selling Silver Age comics for the month of July. That is right, Go Collect puts out a monthly article that takes a look at the hottest selling Silver Age comic books based on volume of sales and movement in the market. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the books together and see what is trending. But before I get into the video, if you guys could drop me a like or a comment or subscribe for enjoying the content, helps for our channel doing things, I would appreciate it. But let's get into this video here today. Of course, this monthly article is always written by Ryan Kirksey. I will put a link in the description if you guys want to do your own reading, but much like the weekly articles where we take a look at the Go Collect hot list, this one right here focuses on the Silver Age and comes out once a month. And coming in at the number 5 spot is a book that I actually feel like is very undervalued in the market. This one right here is Captain America number 117, up 43 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, of course, you guys know this would be the first appearance of the character known as the Falcon, played by Anthony Mackie in the MCU, a book that came out in 1969, written by Stan Lee and drawn by Gene Colan. Now, Falcon, who is currently taking up the mantle of Captain America, made his debut alongside Captain America in this book in the Silver Age. And this is one of those great key comic books that I feel like has been sort of underappreciated in the market for quite some time. I mean, it definitely got a massive spike up during 2021, during the course of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show. And that's actually one of the reasons why this book has fallen off so much, is because at that particular time, any book related to Falcon and the Winter Soldier or WandaVision or Loki definitely had such a massive spike up that, you know, it was only natural that they were going to have their major correction. And I think one of the reasons that this book is showing up on this list is that we've had a huge resurgence into Cap 117 due to the announcement of Captain America 4 New World Order, who we can all assume is going to be led by Sam Wilson, Captain America, in that film. And it is really interesting, and I think it's a good case study and a good reminder that, you know, it doesn't necessarily matter if Sam Wilson's character is currently Captain America or if he's currently the Falcon. Whatever the case is, all the books that relate to that character that has like visibility in pop culture is going to move in tandem to the market. I mean, for me personally, I still would rather own this book than, say, Captain America 25 when he actually takes up the mantle of Captain America. But even if the character isn't perfectly represented on screen, all the books are going to move in tandem. And as we dig into the numbers for this one, let's take a look at some of the values here. 9.8s actually have 12 on the census, but there hasn't been a sale since 2016. Last sold was $10,000. This would easily be, you know, probably a $40,000, $50,000 book, in my opinion, if it went at auction today. Let's go down here to the 8.5s where we can see some 30-day sales. 217 on the census. Fair market value is $1,300. 1 year is $1,200, and 30-day is actually $1,379. So definitely a book that saw a huge spike up, a huge correction, and now is finally starting to establish its floor. And this graph right here that you are seeing in front of you is probably a good benchmark of the journey of this particular book, where, you know, it's something that slowly ticked up over the course of the last few years. And then in 2021, being where it was, being around Falcon and Winter Soldier, this one had a meteoric rise, like a just almost too high, too fast, and then saw a huge steep decline and had been going down for the better part of, like, you know, the last 8 to 9 months or so. And I think with this resurgence of this announcement, or with the news of Captain America 4, this book is going to finally find its new floor. Down here at the 6.0 grade, 246 on the census, fair market value is $450, 30-day moving kind of right in line, 405 to that. So if we look at some of the last sales, we do actually see a $405 sale. Again, you can see the graph right here, definitely kind of wonky with how Go Collect collects their data. You know, it's not always accurate. I know you guys always mention that, but you can see that this is one of those books that definitely shot up super high and then, you know, had a steep decline and a correction. And then, of course, down at the bottom, you're not going to see it always slapped at the low grade. It's a 1969 book, so there are low grade copies out there. But typically speaking, when you go into eBay looking for raw copies, you can find some selling around that $150, $200, $250 range or so. All right, let's go on now to the 4th hottest Silver Age comic of the month. And the 4th hottest Silver Age comic of the month is one that is interesting to talk about, and we got to get into this one here. But this one is Tales of Suspense number 94, up 50 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, of course, this is a book written by Stan Lee and drawn by Jack Kirby that came out in 1966 and would feature the first appearance of the character known as MODOK. Now, it had been rumored for quite some time that MODOK was going to be the villain of Ant-Man 3, but at San Diego Comic-Con, we actually got the confirmation that Corey Stoll is going to be playing the character known as MODOK when, you know, our characters in Ant-Man 3 visit him in the quantum realm. And this got, you know, this book really moving in the market. I mean, I think of all the books that moved coming off the heels of the announcements of San Diego Comic-Con, this is definitely one of those books that moved the most. And it's kind of surprising in that sense, because we did get other characters that I would say are comparable to that of MODOK. Like, we did get, you know, more news about Abomination. We did get more news about the High Evolutionary, but those books didn't seem to move as much as this one right here. Maybe it's just due to the fact that, the other books have been rumored about for so long, and MODOK was more of a sleeper rumor, so people were kind of, sleeping on this book for quite some time. But as we dig into the numbers for this one, let's take a look at some of the values across the grades. 9.8 has 6 on the census. Fair market value suggested to be 19,000, although there hasn't been a sale in quite some time. Last recorded sale was September of 2020, a heritage auction that went for 12,600. So it would be hard to say what this book would sell for today. I do think that it's probably a book that would hit that, I don't know, $40,000 range at the 9.8 grade. 9.2s actually did see some sales, 49 in the census. Fair market value has it at $12.50. 30-day moving is $13.29. So a book that, like I mentioned, hadn't been spec'd on as hard as some of the other books that have been spec'd on in this calendar year. It's one of the few books that is actually showing all new record highs coming off the San Diego Comic-Con announcements. And then down here at the mid-grade, we can take a look at the 6.0s, 67 on the census. Fair market value suggests 260. 30-day moving is 305. So as you can see, across most of the grades for this book, it's definitely one that is typically selling its all new record high. And then down here at the bottom, 1966 book, so kind of on the cusp of, Silver Age books that typically don't get slabbed at that end of the spectrum. But when you go onto eBay looking for raw copies of this thing, typically you can find them being sold around that $150 to $200 range or so. All right, let's go on now to the third hottest Silver Age comic of the month. And the third hottest Silver Age comic of the month is a book that has been hot many times over the course of this last couple years or so. But this one right here is Fantastic Four number 67, up 54 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, of course, this would be the book written by Stan Lee and drawn by Jack Kirby that would come out in 1967 and would feature the first appearance of the character known as him, who would later become Adam Warlock. Now, as I'm sure you guys are well aware, Adam Warlock is going to be making his debut in the Guardians of the Galaxy 3 film, played by the actor Will Poulter. This is actually something that had been leaked many months back, and James Gunn actually confirmed it on his Twitter, and that caused a flurry of sales for all of the Adam Warlock keys, including this one right here. But this is one of those books that kind of actually fell off a little bit in comparison to Marvel Premiere 1 and Thor 165. But one of the things I think is really interesting about this book is that, a lot of people like to dismiss this one because it's really only the cocoon of Adam Warlock. But, we actually do see 2 panels of him in this book. I mean, if you're one of those people who, is pro Hulk 180 as being the first appearance of Wolverine, this is a similar situation. So this is the true first appearance of the character known as him. He's got 2 panels on the last page. He even has some dialogue. So, if there's any confusion, this is definitely that first, whatever you want to call it, cameo appearance or first true appearance. But this is why I think this book is probably one that, kind of was going under the radar, kind of was undervalued for quite some time. And then with the excitement of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, a lot of people saw the exclusive trailer and there were some images of Adam Warlock that were leaked, and that caused a lot of movement in the Adam Warlock keys. But this one in particular, because this is one that has not had the attention on it like 165 and Marvel Premiere 1 had. But as we dig into the numbers for this one, let's take a look at some of the values. 9.8s have 13 on the census. Fair market value suggested to be 29,000, but there hasn't been a sale in quite some time. Last sale right here recorded is on August of 2021. This book went for $25,000 at the 9.8 grade, so hard to say what that would sell for in today's market. Down here at the 8.5, we have 240 on the census. Fair market value 1150. 30-day moving kind of in line to that, 1210. So you can see this is a book that has had its previous spikes all the way back when in 2014, 2015. I don't know if these are some anomaly sales, but when we got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, this one would have seen a spike as well. You can see that probably around here in August of 2019, there was maybe speculation about Adam Warlock being the next thing, and then a lot of correction because people were unable to have the patience and wait for it. So this is a book that has seen ups and downs. A lot of people had been expecting Adam Warlock for quite some time. And then of course down here at the bottom, again, 1967, kind of the cutoff point for slabbing Silver Age comic books. But typically speaking, when you go into eBay looking for raw copies of this thing, you can find them being sold around that $100 to $150 range or so. All right, let's move on now to the second hottest Silver Age comic of the month. And the second hottest Silver Age comic of the month is one that I think is kind of underappreciated in the market. But this one right here is Fantastic Four number 50, up 71 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, of course, this is the book written by Stan Lee and drawn by Jack Kirby that came out in 1966 and would feature the third appearance of the Silver Surfer. Now, we all know that Fantastic Four 48 is the Silver Surfer's first appearance. We know that 49 is the first cover appearance of the Silver Surfer and the first full appearance of Galactus. And then in the trilogy of this story that is introducing Galactus and Silver Surfer into the Fantastic Four universe, this one right here is Fantastic Four number 50. And I guess if you want to give it a key distinction, this is really the first time that Silver Surfer acts as a hero alongside that of the Fantastic Four. So, he's had his face turn in this particular book. But this is one of those books that I think always gets, sort of left out and forgotten alongside 48 and 49, because of course 48 is going to have the attention because it's the first appearance. 49 has one of the greatest covers of all time, although this cover isn't so bad itself. And, there's a lot of other great Silver Surfer keys that people like to collect. There's Silver Surfer number 1. There's some other Fantastic Four covers. So there's a lot of great Silver Surfer books to collect out there in the market, and this one sort of always gets looked over. But I think the reason why this book is showing up on the list is that collectors are starting to realize that, hey, this is a great key book to have. And if I'm someone who wants to have 48 and 49, it kind of feels like you got to have 50 as well. So this is one of those books that, with the excitement of Fantastic Four being announced at San Diego Comic-Con, with the expectation that we're going to get Silver Surfer and Galactus at some point in the future, this book is one of the hottest comics in the Silver Age. And as we dig into the numbers for this one, let's take a look at some of the values across the grades here. 9.8s only have 3 on the census. Last sale in 2016 was $35,850. I mean, this is one of those books with a brown cover that's going to be so hard to find in high grade. Actually, right here you have on Comic Connect, this is a book that sold for $44,000 back in 2013 and actually went down in value in 2016 on Heritage Auction. So it'd be interesting to see what this book would go for today. I actually wonder if it could break 6 figures based on those last couple sales all those years ago. Down here at the 8.0 range, we have 185 on the census. Fair market value is $1,750. 30-day moving is $1,800. So a book that has kind of rebounded from its previous highs. You can see right there on the graph, much like other books in this current market, saw a big spike up in 2021 and it's kind of finding its new floor values. Last couple sales for this were $1,800 and $1,860. Mid-grade level here at the 5.0, we see 259 in the census. Fair market value is $375. 30-day moving kind of right in line to that at the $400 level. And then, of course, like I've mentioned a couple other times in this video, typically speaking, 1966 book, not going to see it slabbed at the low grade as often, but now when you go into eBay looking for raw copies of this thing, you typically see them being sold around that $150 to $225 level. Let me know what you guys think about this particular Silver Surfer key overall. How do you stack rank it against the other Silver Surfer keys out there in the market? FF76, Tales to Astonish 93, Silver Surfer 1, things like that. Where do you see this one in the plethora of Silver Surfer covers? All right, let's move on now to the hottest Silver Age comic of the month. And the hottest Silver Age comic of the month is one that I kind of feel like is no surprise here, but this one is Fantastic Four number 33, up 89 spots. And what is the significance of this? Well, of course, this is a book that came out in 1964, written by Stan Lee and drawn by Jack Kirby, and would feature the first appearance of the character known as Atuma, a villain to Submariner. Now, as to why this book is the hottest comic of the month, well, we all know that we got the Black Panther Wakanda Forever 2 trailer, and we did see that Namorita, Submariner, and Atuma are going to be making their appearances in that film. I think Atuma really impressed fans with his, very small image in the trailer there. He definitely has a presence. He looks super badass, and I think that has a lot of people excited about this particular book. So, this is one that has moved a lot in the market. I mean, I think when we rewind the clock, it was already coming out that there were a lot of rumors that Atuma was going to be a possible villain in the Wakanda Forever film. I mean, I think kind of where we all see this going is that Submariner is going to be an antagonist, but at some point we can assume that, he's probably going to come to terms with, the Wakandan people, and then eventually Atuma is going to be upset by that, or maybe there's a darker force behind the scenes. But either way, I think a lot of people are excited for the potential of the character of Atuma, and I think there could be a long kind of complicated relationship built off of this. I don't necessarily see Atuma as being sort of a one and done villain. I think he can be a much more complex figure in the sort of Atlantean universe, although I don't know if they're calling it Atlantis in what we're going to see with Submariner, but I do think that Atuma can be a character that we see repeated in many movies down the line. I mean, I'm sure Submariner is going to get his own film at some point, and I got to think that Atuma will play a role in that particular film. So this is definitely a book that has moved a lot in the market. I mean, it's an early Silver Age Fantastic Four book. A lot of people are excited about it because it's Fantastic Four. It's kind of got that unique cover where there's like a photo in the background. You don't see gray covers too often. So there's a lot of cool things about this book. And as we dig into the numbers for this one, let's take a look at some of the values here. 9.8s actually have 6 on the census. Last sold in 2012 for $8,000. So So another book, hard to price what it would go for in this particular market. 9.2s have 21 on the census. Fair market value is $2,700, although 30-day moving is $3,000. So we did get a $3,000 sale. So definitely someone was very, very excited about the Wakanda Forever trailer. Let's take a look at some of the mid-grades here. 6.0 has 57 on the census. Fair market value is $700, although that seems like a very wrong number being calculated by GoCollect there. Definitely seems like the 30-day moving is $335. And then down here at the low grade, not going to find this particular book slabbed too often at that level, but typically speaking, when you go onto eBay looking for raw copies of this thing, you can see them being sold around that $140 to $150 range, depending on the deal, depending on the grade. You can find for yourself, but definitely a cool book nonetheless. Anyways, that is all I have for this video. Those were GoCollect's hottest Silver Age comics for the month. Let me know what you guys think. Do you guys have any of these books? Did you guys pick up any of these books over the course of this last month? Are you someone that helped these books show up on this list? Anyways, that's all I have for this video. Drop me a like, comment, subscribe if you're enjoying the content, and I will see you in the next one.